Dear student, chapter number 13, direct and inverse proportion. In the last class, in the first part, we have completed chapter number 13 direct proportion. Today, we are going to continue the last topic, that is inverse proportion. Okay. Here the definition of the inverse proportion. Inverse proportion or inverse variation. We can call it inverse proportion or inverse proportion. Okay. In an inverse proportion is indicated when the two quantities, we are going to take the two quantities. This is a definition. Please, quantities are so related that here comes inverse proportion when two quantities are so related that an increase in one cause of corresponding decrease in the others. If it is increase in the one, then it should be decrease in the other. The number point to the ratio of any two value of one quantities is inverse of the ratio of the corresponding value of the others. This is in case of the inverse proportion. So we can see see few quantitative expressions for the variables are inversely related. The first one is that. First one we can see the quantitativity expression. There are few expressions for the inverse. The first one, that is greater the speed. If the speed is greater, the less the time. If we drive our vehicle very fast, then we will soon reach our destination in the less time. Number two, we can say that slower the speed, then will take longer time or more the time. See, here if the speed increase, the time taken will be decreased. If the speed decrease, time taken will be increased. This is a quantitativity expression of the inverse proportion. Okay. So, when the two quantities are said to be variably indirectly inverse, let's see this. Two quantities, that is quantities we can say x and y, are said to be varied indirectly means inverse. Okay, inversely if the product xy remain constant, that is k, is called what? Is called the constant variation, and it always positive, should be always positive. When the two quantities x and y are said to be variably directly inverse, if the product of x and xy remain constant, that is k, is called constant variation, and it is always said to be in form of it's said to be in the positive. That means x, y is equal to k. Understand? Then the rule says, and another rule says that if x and y are varied inversely, and if these are inversely varied, then y1 then y2 are two values of y, should be corresponding to the value, that is x1 and x2 of x respectively. That means then x1 y1 is equal to x2 y2. So in the this is a form of direct inversion, indirect inversion, or we can say that is equal to k. Okay, and again, or we can say that x1 by x2 is equal to y1 by y2 by y1. When x and y are in this form, when we are going to say this are x and y, x and y, when x and y are inverse proportion. When x and y are inverse proportion, these are the two formulas that we have to be remembered. So these are the first explanation of the inverse proportion. What is inverse proportion? When two quantities are so related that an increase in one cause of corresponding decrease in the other. The ratio of the two value of one quantity is inverse of the ratio of the corresponding value of the others. There is one example. The greater speed, the less time. That means when the speed is increased, then the time taken will be the less. And point number 2 is that when the speed is less, then the time taken will be the increase. That means in the inverse proportion, when one cause is increased, then in the other side, other side there will be decrease. Whereas in the direct proportion, if one side is increased, then another side also increase. So in indirect proportion, if the one side is decreased, then in another side increase. If it is in one side is increased, then another side will be the decrease. If x is increased, then y should be decreased. If y is increased, then x should be increased. Okay. So the two quantity x and y are said to vary indirectly. That is, indirectly means inversely. Okay. If the product x and y remain constant k, so x y is equal to k. If x and y are variably inversely, and x1 and y1 are two values of y corresponding to the value of x1 and the x2 of x respectively, that is x1 x2 is equal to x2 y2 is equal to k. Then in the ratio form x1 by x2 and the y2 by y1. These are the two formulas that we have to be remember for calculation of the inverse proportion. Now let's see few examples of inverse proportion. If x varies inversely as y, and if y is equal to 4 when x is equal to 12, y is equal to 4 and x is equal to 12, find the constant of the variation and Roman number 2, the value of y when we have to find out the value of y when x equal to 9. So the first part, let's see. We have already known that x, y is equal to k. So where k is constant variation. K is the constant variation. K is the constant variation. Since the value of y is 4 when x is equal to how much? 72. Then we can find out the value of k, that is x, y. What is the value of k? That is 72 into 4. That means 288 is the value of the k. Now we are finding the constant of the variation when the y and the x are given. And question number 2 again. Let's see question number 2. Since we got value of k is 228. Then what is the value of x? X is equal to 9. Now we are going to find out the value of y. How will we find the value of y? Here comes x, y is equal to k. Now we have known the value of y is 9 and the x is unknown. Now the constant k is 228. If you want to find out the value of y, then we have to divide 88288 by 9 by x. Then what will be the value of 9? The value of 9 will be 32. In this way, we can find out the constant variation when x and y are given. And again, from the constant variation, constant of variable is when we find answer for the constant of variable, then we can find the value of x or y again. Now we are finding the value of x, the value of y here. So this is how we are finding the inverse proportion by using the x, y is equal to k. K is a constant. This is a formula. By using the formula, we can find out the value of x, value of y, and the constant. And the next question, let's see the next question again. If 20 men consume a certain quantities of rice in 14 days, that means 20 men consume a certain quantity of rice in 14 days. 20 men consume certain quantities of rice in 14 days. In how many days 8 men consume the same quantities of rice? Now 20 men can consume a certain quantity, maybe 100 kg of rice or 50 kg of rice by 20 men in 14 days. But now we are going to find out the number of days that consume the same quantities that 20 men consume in the 14 days. In here, in how many days that quantities consumed by 20 men in 14 days by 8 men. We are going to find out the number of days that consume the same quantity of rice by 8 men. So in the solution we have let the required number of days is equal to x. Now we have to construct one table. We have to construct one table. We have to construct one table. That is number of men and number of days. See, when 20 men, how many days they consume that the quantity of rice by 14? If it is, what about in 8 men, the number of days, we don't understand, we don't know the number of days. So we are going to find out by using this table, and we are going to find out number of days consumed by the 8 men. So here comes less men, more day. Less men becomes more days. So it is a case of inverse proportion. This is a case for the inverse proportion. Less men, if it is less men, more day. Here come more men, less day. Then here come this is the less men. Then here the x will be number of days. X will be the more, because this is a case of the direct inverse proportion. Here comes x1 equal to, we have seen the formula here. Here is a formula. We can x1 x1 into y1 is equal to y2 is equal to x2 equal to y2. Okay, from here we have seen that this one will be the x1 and this one will be the y1. This one will be the x2 and this one will be the y2. Okay, here comes 20, that is x1 into y1, that is 14. And here comes x2 into y2 is x. So we are going to find out the value of number of days. Therefore, x equal to 20 into 14 by 8. So it becomes, if you divide 7 4, here comes again, this will be the 5. The remaining is 7 into 5. 7 into 5 means 35. So here comes less men. Less men means 8 men. That more days. That means x equal to 35. That means when 8 men will consume how many days, that the same quantity of rice will consume in the 35 days. So we can find out, therefore 8 men will consume the rice in 35 days. So we have already seen here, if the number of men is more, then the number of days will be less. If the number of men is less, then number of days will be more. We have seen, because this is a case of inverse proportion. When in the inverse proportion, we have already discussed that if the number is increased in the one quantity, another quantity, then number will be decreased. There comes in the one quantities number are decreased, so in one quantities number will be increased. This is a second example for the inverse proportion. Now the third example, we will see the third example. This is the third question. A fort has a provision for 150 men for 45 days. After 10 days, 25 men left the fort. How long will the food last at the same rate? See, in the fort, provision for 150 men is 45 days. For 150 men is 45 days. After 10 days, from this 150 men, 25 men left the fort. So we are going to find out how long will the food last for the same rate. Here comes, this is the solution. So the remaining food would last. That is 45 minus how many days? 10 days. We get 35 days only. For how many days? For 150 men. But again, 25 men have left. So number of remaining men will be the number of remaining men. Men will be 150 minus again 25. That is 125. Now again, for 150 men, for 150 men, the food lasts how many days? 35 days. We have seen here. Suppose for 125 men, the food lasts X days. That means we are going to find out the food for the 125 men. Okay. So here we have seen that less men, more days. It is a case of inverse proportion. We have seen this a case of inverse proportion. Now we are going to construct one table here. Number of person and the number of days. When 150 men, 35 days. When 125 men, X days. Now the same thing, we have to find out the value of X. Now we can recall the formula again. X1. The formula again, X1 is equal to how much? X1 equal to X1 into Y1 is equal to Y2 is equal to X2 equal to Y2. The same that is the same thing that we have done in the question number 2. Okay. Here come, this one is a X1, this one is a Y1, this one is a X2, this one will be the Y2. Now we are going to find out the value of Y2. Here comes Y1 is X1 is a 150, Y1 is the 35, and X2 is the 125, Y2 is the X. Now we are going to find out the number of days that last food for 125 men. Okay. Therefore, X equal to 150 into 35 divided by 125. Then what will be the reason here? Here will be 25. Here will be 30. Again 5, 6, 5, 7. The answer is 6 into 7. 6 into 7 means 42. Therefore, therefore number of days. Therefore, the food will last for 42 days. For how many? 42 days for 125 men. Okay. In this way, we can calculate the number of days food lasts for the same rate. First, in this question, we have to find out the number of days and then number of men. Here, the remaining food would last. That is number of days. We have to find out number of days. Second, we have to find out the number of men. That is 150 minus 25, because 25 men has left after 10 days. So we have to reduce the number of days here, and we have to reduce the number of men here. In this way, we can find out the value of x. That is the value of x. That is the number of days that lasts by the 125 men. Okay. And this is a question number, question number 4 solution. Example number 4 solution. This is a very easy example. Okay. A machine fill 100 or 540 bottles in 6 hours. How many bottles will it fill in 5 hours? Let's see. Let the required number will be the required number of the bottles to be filled in 5 hours is Bx. So we have to prepare one table here. Here we are going to prepare one table. We are going to prepare one table here. Here number of bottles filled. Here number of hours. When 154 bottle is filled, how many hours it takes? 6. So when 5 hours, value will be the x. So we are going to find out the numbers of bottles when 5 hours. In the 5 hours, how many bottles can we fill? We have to find out. Here, since number of the bottles more, so number of the hour will be required more. Let's see here. This is an example of the direct proportion. Okay, we are mixing the examples. So let's complete this also. This is a example for the direct proportion. This is the direct proportion examples. Okay, let's complete this also, and then next we can conclude again another example of the inverse proportion. Let's recall one example for the direct proportion also. So we are going to find out the value of x here. So the given quantities vary directly. Okay. So 540 by x is equal to 6 by 5. Then you will get 6x is equal to 5 into 540. Now the value of x equal to 5 into 540 divided by 6, 90. The answer will be the 5 into 90. This is 540. The number of bottle will be the 540. Okay, this is a direct proportion. So we are recalling one example of the direct proportion again here in this question number 4. Okay. Now let's continue another examples for the inverse proportion. This is the question number 5. So here comes, a shopkeeper has just enough money to buy 52 cycles, worth rupees 525 each. If each cycle were to cost rupees 21, more than the amount he has, how many cycles would he be able to buy? Now we are going to find out the solution for this question number 5, extra question number 5 also. Now see, here is the solution. We have the solution. Now we are going to find out how many cycles the shopkeeper has to buy. Okay. So let number of cycle he is able to buy. He is able to buy. Buy is x. X will be the number of cycle. How many cycle he has to buy? Okay, now we are going to prepare one table. That is here number of cycle and the cost of a cycle. Now number of cycle, how many cycle? 52 cycle. In the 52 cycle, cost of 52 cycle is 525. And here comes cost of 21. Now the next is here comes 125 in each cycle. Okay. So if each cycle were to cost 21 rupees more than the amount he has, from here it is 525 more than. Then how much it will come here? 525. If you plus with 525 with 21, then you will get 546. The cost of cycle will be 546. Then how many cycle he can buy? We are going to find out here. How this come? Because if each cycle were to cost rupees 21 more than the amount, this is the original amount. If it is more 21, then it comes 546. Then if it is 546, then how many cycle he can buy? We are going to find out the number of bicycle for 546. Okay. Now here comes, if the cost is more, then number of bicycle will be less. Here cost is more than number of bicycle will be less. So therefore it is a case of inverse variation. Inverse variation. So here come x1, this will be the y1, x2, this will be the y2. We come from the formula that x1 is equal to y1 equal to x2 is equal to y2. Here x1 is 52 and the y1 is 525 is equal to x2. x2 is x and y2 is 546. Okay. Now we are going to find out the value of x. Then 52 into 525 divided by 546 is to find the value of x, that is number of bicycle for 546. Now let's see. When we divide this all, you will get 50 bicycle. So hence number of bicycle he would be able to buy is 50. Okay. So there is an alternative method also to find out the value or number of the bicycle. Let's see here. So see, in the alternative method we can calculate in this way also. In the alternative method, this is the alternative method, second method. In the second method we can come across about the ratio of number of bicycles, number of cycle is equal to inverse ratio of cost. So what is the number of the bicycle? Number of bicycle is 52 is to how much? X. And the inverse ratio of the cost is 546 is to 525. Here comes. Then what will the cost here comes? X equal to x into 546, and in another side 52 into 525. Here comes proportion formula, that is A is to B is equal to proportion to C is to D. Here comes extreme and the mean. Understand? Here again, here is a formula for the proportion. Here we are coming from the formula of proportion. A is to B, proportion to C is to D. Then these two will be the extreme and these two will be the mean. So here come mean is X and 546, and extreme is 52 and 525. So from this formula also we can find out the value number of the bicycle by using the proportional formula. Okay, ratio and proportion formula. Here comes 52 into 525 divided by 546. That will become the answer is 50. In this form also we can calculate the inverse proportion. The ratio of the number of cycle, this will be the ratio of the number of cycle, and in another side will be the inverse ratio of the cost of the bicycle. Okay, by using the proportion formula we can find out the number of bicycle also. This is a extra question number 5. Today we have concluded the last portion of the chapter number 3, that is inverse proportion. Again we are rewinding the inverse proportion. When two quantities are so related that an increase in one cause a corresponding decrease in the others, the ratio of any two value of one quantity is the inverse of the ratio of the corresponding value of the others. There is a quantitative expression. See the meaning of this inverse proportion. When the greater speed, the time will be less. When the speed are slower, then more time will be required. So in the two quantities of x and y are said to be varied indirectly, that is inversely. If the product of x and y remain constant, k is called constant variation, and it is always in the sign should be always positive. So x, y is equal to k should be constant. And again, if x and y are variably inverse and x1 and x2 are two value of x corresponding to the value of x1 and x2 of x respectively, then x1 into y1 is equal to x2 into y2 is equal to k. When in the form of the ratio form, if you want to put in the fraction, then x1 divided by x2 is equal to y2 divided by y1. These are in the form of the inverse proportion. According to this, today we have concluded 5 extra questions that is not in your textbook. That is for the revision and the knowledge how to find out the inverse proportion. We have already concluded 5 questions. So in this chapter we have only 2 topics, that is direct and the inverse proportion. We have concluded direct proportion in our previous part. In the part 1 we have concluded and we have calculated, we have solved few extra questions that are related with the direct proportion. And today we have completed the inverse proportion again. And we have completed the problem solving of few exercise, few extra questions for in the case of inverse proportion, how to find out the inverse proportion and what are the related formulas to find out the inverse proportion. So today this chapter number 13 has been completed. So in the next video we will start the chapter number 14, that is factorization. Okay, thank you.